Yeah. So let's
Ma'am,
start
shall
with,
I?
yeah. You can share your screen and show us what you've done.
Yes. Oh, ma'am, can you see this?
No, we can't see anything. Now we can. Now we
Oh,
can. Good.
yeah. Ma'am, I've just done for the, I'm in one cluster right now.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So these are the images of, I mean, how I'm retrieving and the statistics.
Okay.
Uh, this is like PMRA PM deck plot where we are
Okay, good.
extracting our
What was your
cluster.
search radius? What was your search
Ma'am, one
radius?
arc radius,
How much?
1 degree, I guess, 1 degree.
1 degree. Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll write it over here. Oh,
Yeah. Okay, good.
this was the corrected cluster which I got. So parallax.
So you see, you'll need to do two corrections. One would be the correction with proper motion and the other one with parallax,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah. So this was the parallax, and the so approximate distance according to the parallax came this much,
Okay.
1100. I mean, 1166.
No, no,
For
no. I'm saying, but did you filter out contaminants from the parallax plot?
yes, ma'am. The yellow
Great.
one is the
Okay.
proper one. I got red one. Red one is the full thing, full data. Then I
Okay.
took the blue one, but there
Okay.
was some contamination. Again, I did, but the last one, yellow one, was without contamination.
Okay. Great. Great. Good.
So this were the three isochrones. I took
So you took it from the file which I sent you, right?
no, ma'am. I'm downloaded from the CMD
Okay.
site.
Great. Great. Very good.
So I took for three things: 7, 7.5, and 8.
Okay.
Because I mean, I got to know the age from somewhere, so I just took
That's
these
okay.
three. So, and this black one is my star cluster.
Okay.
So now I'm trying to fit it over here, and this is the fitting because
Great.
I got to know the pink one and gray one won't fit. So I'm trying to
Okay.
fit it on the yellow one, and this is my distance modulus and the reddening.
Yeah, but only thing is that your reddening,
Yes, ma'am.
this reddening is not EB minus V, right? This is EBP minus RP, right?
Yeah,
This is
ma'am.
for the Gaia these things. So you
Mm.
will your reddening which you get from this,
Yes, ma'am.
your by the reddening you mean the X shift, right? Which you get
Yes,
it.
ma'am. Egg shift.
Huh. So your X shift which you've given is not EB minus V. This is EBP minus RP, right? Because
Okay.
your
Mm.
what do you say? You've taken 0.77 into zero point 0.5. Hello.
Oh, yeah, ma'am. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, no, no, no. So you, I think from somewhere you even got the EB minus V value as zero point 0.5, right? For this.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So you've got 0.77 and zero point 0.5, which is 0.385. Only
Yes.
please replace your reddening EB minus V. Instead, you should write ERP minus
Uh,
BP. Sorry, BP minus RP. Blue
okay.
minus red.
Okay.
In
EP
your
minus.
the text, right? What you've written EB minus V. This
Yeah.
is actually the equation is BP minus RP is equal to 0.77 into EB minus V because EB minus V for this is zero point 0.5.
Oh,
Okay.
ma'am. So 0.77 is a conversion factor,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm not wrong. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So zero
Yeah.
point 0.5
Mm.
is the EB minus V, and
Yeah.
your reddening, which you've written, this should be EBP minus RP, not EB
Yes.
minus V.
Yeah. Ma'am, I changed it.
Yeah,
Ma'am, and
and then you've got the distance modulus. By the way,
yeah.
even in the distance modulus, you have to put the factor. You'll have to put 5 log D minus 5 plus AV. But this is not AV, this is AG, right?
AG.
Because this is in G
Oh,
magnitude. So the
oh.
conversion you'll have to do for G magnitude, right?
Ma'am, but AV I'm calculating using this thing,
Correct.
3.2. Yeah.
Correct. But this is the extinction in V band. Now
Yes,
you
ma'am.
need the extinction in G band, right?
So I mean, I need to
So there's
use.
just a conversion factor. There's just a conversion factor. So you'll have to just take that AG is equal to, I'll
AG.
write it down in the WhatsApp group also,
Yes.
2.945 into EB minus V.
2.945
Yeah,
into
I'll
E.
write it down in that thing. I'll give you all the values so you can do that.
Oh,
I'll write it down so the others also can use it. Okay. So I'm going to, so correct. So you have to, so your distance which you got, na, that original distance,
Yes, ma'am.
that distance modulus is called the apparent distance modulus because you did not correct it for extinction,
No, ma'am.
right? So you'll have to even add the AG factor, correct?
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
you'll get the true distance. So your formula will be m minus m is equal to 5 log d minus 5 plus AG.
Ma'am,
You'll get
yeah,
your
I did it
AG.
here. AV in my distance.
So your AG,
This conversion of
yeah.
2.9.
Yeah, so I just put it up on that WhatsApp group also,
Yes.
the conversion.
Yes.
So this EBP minus RP will be the amount of X shift you have to give on the X axis. On the Y axis, you are going to do distance modulus as well as AG,
Okay, ma'am.
right? So
Ma'am,
y-axis shift is going to come. See, on x-axis, you can understand you don't have a distance issue because you are subtracting from two filters, right? So in both of them, the distance factor will come in. So color in principle, BP minus RP is distance independent. It does not depend upon the distance to the cluster because the same correction will come for both the magnitudes, right? In the x-axis. While the y-axis, the distance factor will come because you're just taking a single magnitude, right?
oh, ma'am, so in AG, I'll use EB minus V, not EBP minus RP.
Actually, there's a conversion with BP minus RP also, but this one I've done it with B minus V.
Okay.
You can calculate it. We can have a session where we'll do that in the next one on how to convert it. So you already know how to convert it, right? See,
Yes.
when you did your x-axis wala, you already did EB minus RV is equal to 0.77 EB minus V. So if
Yes.
you want to replace that with EBP minus V, you will just write that is equal to EB this thing. You just multiply it into 0.77, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
You already know the conversion.
Yeah. Or ma'am, I can
What
directly...
happens is out of practice or out of habit in catalogs also, when you see, you'll always find EB minus V written, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to apply the coefficients for whichever photometric bands you are going to use. So you change it. But generally, you'll always find it's always given in terms of EB minus V. Then you convert it. Okay.
Ma'am, so I can directly use the EB minus V value over here.
Yeah.
Because that will get converted later on.
No, but this is AV. This one is AV, na?
No, ma'am, in AG.
So do it for
AG
AG.
formula,
Correct.
I can use EB minus V.
Yeah. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Only what you have to do is both the EB minus V's you're obviously using for X and Y will be the same, right?
Yeah.
So you determine from the x-axis, you determine the value, right? And that's the value you'll use for the y. And then you will get out the distance, right?
I try to calculate the distance using the AV value. But there's a lot of difference. Like the normal distance with parallax which came was 1166, but I'm getting 962 PC.
Yeah.
Can it be different because of AG values?
That can actually make a difference, but it can also be. Let me just see what is the distance which is given in these things. I think it's about. Okay, yeah. So 1.34, I think was a. So your AG thing is it's not coming to right. What age have you put? What age? What is your isochron? What is the isochron you've used?
H.
You know you'll have to take
I'm
anti-log for that, right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. What is the age
Ma'am, I didn't
isochrone?
hear you. Your voice got cut off.
I'm saying, what is the isochrone you've used? What is the age in the isochrone?
7.5.
7.5.
Ma'am, I took log age 7.5.
So you have to take the log. I mean, you have to take the anti-log for that.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Doesn't matter. You keep it as that.
Hmm.
Yeah, even I'm seeing my papers only where I have 1340, which you have from Parallax, no?
Yeah, ma'am. With just using distance modulus, my distance came 1699, but that's wrong.
That's an overestimation.
Yeah.
That's an overestimation. But then you're subtracting, na? So what did you get when you took 2? 1 minute. What was that distance modulus? This is 1699. Now you're going to subtract. How much will you subtract? You'll take 2.9, approximately 3 into 0.5,
3
right?
into
So you'll get 1.5.
Yes,
So you'll become
1.5.
1.5, right?
11, yeah. 11
Approximately.
5 plus 5.
And then see what is your thing coming to be?
Minus 1.5 by 5. I get 2.93. No?
10 power. Okay.
10 power 2.93.
So we have.
Ma'am, it's coming less 851.
Okay. Okay, doesn't matter. I'll check on that. I'll just check. Maybe my AG value is wrong. I'll just have to check that AG value which I'm putting.
Ma'am, because the current value which I searched on net is 1300 something PC.
So that 1300 is one of my papers only, if you see.
Okay.
It is referring to mine only.
So, I mean, it should be around 1100 to 1300. It's going other way around.
So maybe I'm taking a wrong AG. I'll just check what to take for AG. Okay, I'll just check on that AG value because that will make a difference, right? The AG one, what we've taken.
Okay. Ma'am, and how to find the exact age? I mean, do we just use the isochrones?
You only use the isochrones, and what happens is the difference is the difference in the correct age is the error is this gaps. Like you have 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, right?
Yes,
so sometimes you see that it fits between two ages. Otherwise, it fits between that, and the error is 0.1, anti-log of 0.1. That's your error.
Okay.
So you do not get the exact value. Now for this particular project, just now we do not have the time because we've got to wind up and show it off next week. But in principle, what is done is you can do the fitting in a more smarter way, right? To minimize the chi-squared, etc. And then your errors will be lesser. But typically in this method, you are getting ages with errors. And that's how it is. You do get an error. Because see, you're trying to fit a single age to a set of 500 stars, for example. So obviously you will have an error. But like I said, the errors are not too large. You can see it from the percentage of the age, right? What is the error? It is not so much, right? So you understand, if you take it as a percentage of what is the error over the value of the age, you will see that the value is not too large. It's fine. Okay. But yes, we see all the values we are determining, everything is with an error, right? So for example, even when you're doing your parallax thing and you get your mean value, you're getting a standard deviation, right? And that standard deviation is telling you the error you're getting in your distance estimate, right? So there is an error. There's an error in all the quantities you determine. Yeah. And you can't live without that. It is with an error. That's how it is. Yeah.
Ma'am, and how many clusters do we need to do?
I think I've given you a set of 9 or something. I don't know.
Ma'am, 10 were there.
Yeah. So probably if you want, you can take up 2, 3 or whatever. 3. Let's decide. Let the others say. Accordingly, we can decide what to do. Right?
Yes.
So we'll just check that with the others. What do they say? Fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chalo, I think this is good. Yours is good. I'll just check on the error for the distance. Why is the error for the distance? I'll just check that AG value. I need to check my book and see that and tell you. Because AG value can kind of solve your problem.
Yes, ma'am. Because
here I can see one AG value 2.66.
2.66.
I have 2-3 different values sitting over here. I don't know which is the value I finally made you all take. AG here it says 2.66. Does it make life better? It should, no?
Ma'am, I'll try.
Yeah. Just try, we'll come back to you. Till then, I'll check the others.
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes,
so please unshare your thing. You've already unshared it. So does anybody else want to share their plots? Avik, have you none your plots? Avik or Vandana, okay, or Chiranjeevi, Mudassir, do you all want to show your plots?
Avik, yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I hope you figured out how to get the isochrones from the file I sent you all, right?
No, ma'am, I tried and I could not.
Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you 1 second, because this can be helpful for the others. Just 1 sec, huh? Don't share. I'll share. What happened? It's frozen. Okay. Just 1 sec, huh? So I shared one file with you all. Okay, and 1 second. What has happened? I'm sorry, I don't know what's my laptop doing. Okay. Okay, it's sharing this. So let me. Can you all see my TopCat? Can you all see my TopCat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Only
so
a
this is the
portion
file.
The total one is not visible, ma'am.
Yeah.
Half of it is
a
actually
portion.
visible.
1 second. Now I'll close this file. This one. All this nonsense I'll close. I have too much of kachra. Okay. Okay. Can you now see my? I'm going to remove my webcam. I think that's creating problem. So I'll remove the webcam. Now, can you all see this thing of my? Can you all see the TopCat now?
Ma'am, something is coming in front, like some black box is coming.
Yeah. So there is some
a
window
screen masking the TopCat.
Sorry?
Before the TopCat, which is actually entering the TopCat.
Okay. 1 minute. I don't know what is, this thing is hanging. It looks as though it's hanging. I don't know what's happened. Can you, okay, great. So, I don't know what is this thing doing. Okay. So actually what you all have to do, very simple, for that file I sent you all for isochrones. One way out is what Ayush said he downloaded from the net. Even I have downloaded from the net. So that's exactly what you need to do. But if you haven't downloaded from the net, then what you need to do is this, right? So I'll show you. Ari, come on. I don't know what is, my system seems to be hanging or something's wrong. Can you all see my TopCat now? Hello? Can you all see my TopCat?
Yes, ma'am. TopCat is visible, but at the
so
same
now,
time, one box is also coming.
What is visible?
Ma'am, TopCat is visible, but at the same time, one black box is also, I mean,
on top
in front of it. Yeah.
Okay, wait. Okay. Now let me see if all those other things have gone. I always have a lot of windows open. That's what's creating the problem. Okay, now that other thing is there. Can you still see those other boxes? Now I've cleaned my desktop. All's fine now? Okay. Yeah. Oh God, I closed my own TopCat only. Sorry. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. I'm sorry. In closing all those boxes, I closed TopCat itself. So I had shared a file with you all, and that is the basic file which you have to use to get your isochrones. Okay. So you can see my desktop, no, now? Yeah,
yes,
you all can see my clean and nice, no? Clean.
Yes.
Very good. So now this is TopCat, and I'm going to load the table. this is the file I shared with you all, from which you have to actually extract your extract the isochrones. Okay, so I think I shared this one with you all, which is this one, right? I think I shared this one. This is doing the same thing which if you actually download from the net also. Now you see this is a whole set of isochrones in one file. Okay, so you can see log age 6.6, right? This is log age. And this file, one second, just give me a minute. But so you. I tried to come, but it's not exactly. Okay, so like you can see in this file, what you all have to do is something very simple. You can just mark it from here, right? And you can see this is all 6.6. So you just need to scroll down till the end of 6.6. And that is your isochrone for 6.6. Okay, so here you see 6.6 is ended. Press shift and this, it'll all get marked, right? And then you can press on subsets, subset from 6 point, from selected rows. You can call this 6.6, right? So this is your log 6.6. Huh? Now this file, you can actually save it. When you come into this, you take row subset, you say 6.6, and here I can say file and I can say save table in whatever format you want. If you want, you can fit it in VO table or in, let's say, in CSV format. And over here, you can call it, for example, ISO 6.6, okay, .csv in CSV format. So in that way, from the file I sent you, you need to extract all the required isochrone files. So for example, here you take a plot and you can plot over here. Here you see my x-axis is going to be GBP minus GRP, right? And here GRP mag, okay? And here I will take my, this thing, Gmag. So here I need to flip it. I'll flip it. And this is my isochrone. Okay. So this is specifically my isochrone for 6.6. If I were to plot all that whole file, the whole file is this. So the whole file has all these isochrones, right? Now, when I did 6.6, I have specifically picked up this part, which is for 6.6, right? So for your required cluster, pick up the isochrone you need, save that, and then use that to plot your cluster, right? So I hope that isochrone bit is clear. Chalo, now I'll stop sharing, and who wants to show their plots? You can show your plots one by one. I want to stop share. Stop share. Pause share. Okay. Yeah. So who else wants to show their plots? You can show her.
Ma'am, this is Avik here.
Yeah.
So I want to show my analysis. I have not reached yet plots, but
yeah. So you have permission to share your screen. You can.
share. I have some questions.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Okay. So hope you can see it. So
it takes
the first
to come up. It's not yet come up, but yeah, continue. Talk.
Is it now visible? My word
not
file?
Yet. Can the others see anything? As of
Yes,
now, I can't see.
Yes,
yes, ma'am, is visible.
Can you all see it? Yes, I can. Yeah, all good.
Okay. So first thing is ki, according to that paper you gave me to read, in that only 11 stars were considered in the main work. From
what do you mean by 11? Acha, they use spectroscopy only for 11 stars.
Yes. So they use the first part used to. So I need to share that. I had made some notes. So just a minute, I will share that
Yeah, no
also.
problem. No problem. Take your time.
Yeah. So probably you can see this.
I can see your doc file.
Yeah, this is the doc file. So mainly what they do is they uh, selected 11 stars from 2 mass thing, and then they took spectra from 2.5 meter Las Campanas and
Okay.
took their RVs. So main point which they are claiming that to NGC 2542 is a non-member of NGC 2453 is because of the
Mm.
RV thing.
Okay.
Because the 62 kilometer per second and one is 78 kilometer per second, open cluster one.
Okay.
That is their one
And the
of the
RV
main.
values they've got from Gaia, or where they got the
No, no,
RV
no,
values?
no. RV values they have got from the spectra.
Okay, okay.
So for the RV of the PN, it was considered by measured CC with a synthetic spectrum.
Okay.
And many of the spectrum they got from NIST Atomic Spectra Database. And
Okay.
rest of the 11 stars of NGC 2453, they got it from this 2.5 meter telescope last
Huh.
company.
Okay.
Mm. For the planetary nebula, they took some synthetic spectrum. I am not sure.
Okay.
I couldn't understand this CC part actually.
Which
Uh,
part did you not understand?
for the RV of the planetary nebula, it was measured by CC with a synthetic spectrum. There is
Huh.
no reference to what CC is. So in the
Okay.
paper.
Generally, CC is color. You do a double color plot
Okay.
in the sense, not a color magnitude, but you do a plot of color versus color. And
Okay.
use
Okay.
that. But
Got it.
I need to see that paper. Which paper is this paper? You just message it to me now. Which paper is this? I'll go through it and tell you.
Huh.
Because I remember now. So you are working specifically on 2452, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
2452 and 2453 on the
2453.
membership of
Yeah.
on the membership. Okay, I can also show you. I will send the paper.
Okay, you
Mm,
send it. You can share
yeah,
it on that group only. Anybody who wants can see it. Yeah.
sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
So one is that thing. One point is that. The second point is distance they have measured using the Gaia, and
Yeah.
after applying the reddening method proposed by Green et al. And some correction from using Linder Green. So they have measured around 3.7 kpc for the planetary nebula and 4.7 kpc for the open cluster. So this is the second point they are telling that why
Okay.
this cannot be a part of the open cluster.
Okay.
Huh. Third thing is for the planetary nebula distance radial velocity profile. What they did is to compare with the galaxy arm. So
Hmm.
there, after doing the plot, so okay, I need to stop this. And if I want to share the paper, just I'm sharing the paper
Yeah, you have to
directly.
share only one by one. You can't share multiple.
That's one of the
Zoom won't
okay.
let you do
So
that. Actually,
can you
you
see?
can share multiple if they're all on your desktop. You share your desktop, and if your
Okay,
desktop has two files, it can show that.
I have all the files. So, ma'am, can you see the uh,
Yeah, I can see the paper. I can see the
paper?
plot. D
Yes. So,
versus this thing. Okay.
so this is the plot, the third plot, which the
Okay.
distance is to RV plot. So, what they are telling
Actually,
is,
huh? Yeah.
see, this is one is in pupus arm, and
Yeah.
one is outside of this region,
Okay.
which is some 1 sigma propagation area. So this is outside this. So this probably may be in the Partius arm. So they are claiming in that way. So one should be in the front. The planetary nebula is much nearer to us compared
Okay.
to the open cluster.
Okay.
So that is how they are uh, telling. These are the main
Good.
three,
But
4 points.
they have not done Gaia EDR3, right? So that would be your contribution.
Yes. So
Right? Your
they
results
have
with EDR3.
Yes, so what they did is using the Gaia DR2, not the Gaia DR3.
Hmm.
So that's what I had thought. We can start using not only the Gaia DR2 data, but EDR3 data.
Yeah.
And now I come to what I thought of doing. So in the paper, it is written that the open cluster extends up to 8 arc minute to 10.5 arc minute.
Hmm.
So taking a 9 arc minute sort of value, mean value. So I tried to first take a very small sample in the ESA sky and drop down the PMRA and PM deck values using visualization. So one of the
Yeah.
examples is star, which is a very rogue star compared to all these very linear and IES stars.
Yeah.
So I first thresholded PM deck or 1 milliarc second to 15.5, and then doing this again and again. So I took a one just small set around the open cluster and use this to sort of lower down uh, in the Topcat. So in the Topcat VO search, I took the data of the whole 9 arc minute, and I am planning to lower down the all the stars which are not good using this PMRA and PM deck which I get from ESA Sky.
Huh.
Hmm. So now using this, so I am yet to do the Topcat distance plots and everything.
Okay.
But on a first uh, sort of thing around planetary nebula 2452, so
Hmm.
if I put all these PMRA and PM deck sort of values, then I see the planetary nebula is actually going out. So it is not in that in the series. Okay, so uh, that may be some preliminary sort of identification that it may be not in the group. But we have to see
Acha,
more.
I am sorry to be asking, but I forgot. So the cluster is closer than the nebula. The
The
cluster is in the foreground, the nebula is behind.
the nebula is in the foreground. The
Okay.
cluster is behind, I think. Wait.
Then what you can also do is another thing is you
Mm-hmm.
can see the extinction of stars in the region of the nebula. See, now what happens is when you do this fit, right? Like we just spoke about with, who was it who showed Ayush, right? We got the extinction values, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If the planetary nebula is in the foreground,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
And there are stars which don't have the planetary nebula in front of it, right?
Mm.
Then
Yes.
what you can do is separately plot the stars which are in the region of the planetary nebula and the
Mm.
stars which are not around it, and
Mm.
independently get their extinction values. You understand? Do an
Okay.
isochrone kind of fit, right?
Okay.
Separately for the stars which are in front, which are in the region of the planetary nebula,
Mm.
and separately for the others, and see whether there's a difference in the extinction value. Because how are we getting the extinction value? We are just doing it by doing a sliding fit, right? We're
Yeah.
fitting it on the x-axis. So if the planetary nebula is in the front, then the ones which are over there should have more extinction than the others, right?
Surely.
Yeah. So you can do
Okay.
that extra check also on checking the extinction values also for
Ah.
the stars in and around the planetary nebula and the other region, right?
So I think that part, I was doing a check around the open cluster centroid and also the planetary nebula. So I could
So now
add that
compare
part.
to that to the planetary nebula values, right?
Ah, ma'am, sorry, repeat. Pardon.
I am saying
Mm-hmm.
that exactly like what Ayush just now showed us, right? He
Hmm.
did the x-axis fit to find out the extinction value,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So I am telling you that use the stars which are in the region of the planetary nebula,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And separately use the stars which are not in the region of the planetary nebula and see whether there's a difference in the extinction values for them, right?
Okay,
So
ma'am.
if the planetary nebula is in the foreground, then there should be higher extinction values for the stars in the region of that. If the planetary nebula is behind, then there should be lesser. And if it is the same, then that would imply that the planetary nebula is about the same part, right? In terms of extinction. See, what was that RV plot? RV plot which you showed me, right? RV versus D. RV is a function of the size of the particles of the interstellar medium, right? So they vary, so there's a different kind of a correction which you will have for the spiral arms. And that's why you had a plot of RV versus D. That's again telling you which part of the spiral arm it is. So now extinction also you can use to actually assess what is in front, what is in behind. You can also assess, and for those stars, you will anyway know their parallax values. You know that from Gaia, right?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
So you can actually find out their extinction values.
That we can do.
Yeah. So you can try that out.
Yeah. So the one question which I had lingering. So should I consider the NGC 2452 this as a single object, or
it is an
is
extended object? It is an extended object. So what difference is if you take it as a single or a what? You have to take it as an extended object which has a certain size. What you are seeing is you're seeing it in optical. That's why if you change the wavelength, it will look bigger also.
So look, I have done some comparisons. So this is the HST image.
Correct.
And there are sort of these plumes, gases. And I have stacked 3 HST image to make this one. So
very good.
This one, and comparing with what ESA sky shows. So all these are basically plumes. These two stars are basically these two stars, which are more in the foreground. So
so that's what I'm saying. You will get to know whether they are foreground or background by checking their extinction values. How do they compare to the extinction values of the other stars? You know?
Okay.
You understand what I mean, na? Think of it. You have a fog, right? If you have people behind the fog or in front of the fog, accordingly, your viewing of them will change, right?
Okay. And what is the radius should I take for
so you can actually check up on the net what is the value they are giving for the radius, because it depends upon wavelengths. So the image that you showed from ESA, I don't know, it was DSS image maybe. So in DSS, it looks very small. But if you were to see it in some other wavelengths, right? Maybe in infrared, it may appear larger. So look up some papers and see what is the value which they say for 2452.
Okay.
And use that value. Okay.
To measure the extinction, right?
To define how do you separate the two groups of stars? I'm saying no. One group of stars are associated to 2452, which are, in that region, and the ones which are not in that region. So to split them into two types, get the size of that from some source on the net. Look on the net for someone who has this thing. If it is not there on the net, then again use ESA sky. Look at it at longer wavelengths, not optical. Look at it at infrared, mid-infrared, far infrared. So that would be WISE, Spitzer, Herschel, these things. And then you see what is the size of the nebula, right? It will be bigger, and use that size. Okay. So if you don't have a paper to refer to, view it yourself in ESA, in ESA sky, and estimate the size on your own. Okay. Fine.
Ma'am, the size of NGC 2453, what is the standard size I should check? According to this, I started with a 9 arc minute, but this 9 arc minute will also include the planetary nebula even.
That's okay. That's okay. It includes it. You can't throw it out. No, it is there. That's fine.
Okay.
That's okay. They are not two separate structures. No, they are two structures in the same region of the sky. So that's fine. Yeah. Okay. Chalo.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Good. So you get back to me, because then next week from Sunday onwards, you'll have to be presenting all this stuff.
Right? Yeah. I would probably in this week, I would ask many questions to you.
Yeah. Ask us. No problem. Ask all your questions, because then we are going to, in March, we're going to start a new thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm looking forward to it, ma'am.
Yeah.
Stop sure.
Chalo. Yeah. Good. So Chiranjeevi, what do you want to show?
Ma'am, after, actually, as I was unable to download this isochrone file, so I just tried to plot, in the chart diagrams, I've tried to plot for 2, 3, 4 clusters, but I've not gone after that. So,
Okay, no problem. So
so
you
I
try
will
doing
do
it,
this. Yes.
and you can share your plots with me on WhatsApp. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
No
ma'am.
problem. Chalo, Mudassir.
Yes, ma'am.
Bolo. You want to share something? You can share.
Ma'am, I have plotted some basic plots like parallax cut and all those things, so I can.
Okay, then you can share. All of you all can share your plots with me. If you have some doubts, you can ask. But otherwise, be prepared that then next Sunday onwards, you'll have to start the presentations also, right? We want to do the presentations. Okay. Because I want, preferably I want by month of February, we'll finish this thing. Then I'm going to show you our new website and the new things that we have planned for March. Okay. So we will try to finish everything in this month only. So send me all your plots, please ask. I will make a Google form where you can decide on your presentations so that then we can plan the timetable. Okay.
Okay.
May I show something? I have.
Sorry, Vandana. We were chatting and I forgot.
No
please
problem.
do. Please do. Yeah. You have permissions. You can share.
Yeah.
Everybody has permissions to share.
I'm new to this. Oh dear. I've got a lot of things open.
Oh, I have a bigger mess on my laptop. You should see it.
Okay. How do I go about now?
You just press share screen, the green button down, press share screen and share your whole desktop. That would be best. The first choice. Take the first choice, which is for the full desktop.
Are you able to read?
Yeah. So then everything okay, very good. It's all coming. It's coming.
Okay. So I've just tried for NGC 2244. Okay. I was trying to read a paper on the metallicity of some open clusters. I was trying to download some isochrone. So from that, I got this metallicity.
Okay.
And so what I did is from ESA Sky, I took this. This is the field of view. Now, I had a question. How does this field of view relate to the cone search which we do?
Okay. So actually, see, so this one, you can do your searches in the form of rectangles or, for example, circles, which are the cone search. So in this case, what it's doing, it's just taking a tile or a rectangle of 16 arc minutes by 7.3 arc minutes and giving you what's there in that region.
Yes.
So a cone search is a circular area, right? This one is a rectangular area. So what happens is, depending on the kind of object you have, if you have an object which is more elongated in a certain direction or something, you may prefer a rectangular cut like this, while sometimes you may prefer a circular cut. So it's just a question of what you would like to pick up.
Okay.
It's not a major.
I think I missed looking at the cone search. I was searching for that. Probably I will go back to that.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong in doing this or that. Don't worry.
Probably some stars I would have missed out. I'm not sure. So
actually, if one looks at your proper motion plot, I don't think you've missed out a lot, because you see, you have a very large amount of field stars, right? The red stars, which are not members. So that means you have selected a region which is larger than the cluster. Supposing if you selected only the cluster region, right, you would have the bulk of your stars all being blue, which are the cluster ones, and very few being red. But since you have so many red ones, I'm sure you seem to have taken an area which is larger than the cluster area. That's why you have so many non-cluster members in your plot. So I think your search is fine.
Okay. So the first plot is taking that huge, large area. And the second plot, I had used different filters. I've filtered for parallax error, proper motion in RA and deck errors from around 0.01 to 1. So I've got a reduction in around of stars, around 2,800 stars.
Okay.
So I was just trying different filters. This is my histogram of, I'm sorry, histogram of the parallax. I don't seem to.
It's fine. It's like I can see it. It's fine.
Yeah, so.
Actually, you can, I have not done that, but one can even do a Gaussian fit, for example, for the parallax, if you want to better estimate the peak, you know?
Yeah, I was going to try.
There's an option in TopCat for a Gaussian fit.
Yes.
And you can try that out also.
Then I restricted my parallax.
Okay.
Based on my histogram, so around 0.55 to 0.8. So my stars have reduced, but definitely my standard deviation in parallax has come down.
Yeah.
0.059.
So you see, you're like 10%, right?
Yes.
Your error in your parallax is like 10%, which is fine.
And
your 1000 parsec plus minus 100 parsec, that kind of a thing.
I was just trying again to reduce it a little further, but this is my sky plot and this is my cube plot.
Okay, great.
And this is the HR diagram which I got.
Yeah.
And the statistics I was able to read. No, this is not the one, I'm sorry. So further, what I tried is I reduced limiting the GMAG to around 18.
Okay.
Because in my HR diagram, I found a lot of these stars.
Yeah.
Here, so I tried to reduce it.
Yeah.
And this is what I got.
Great. Yeah.
My standard deviation coming down just a wee bit, 0.04. And this is the distance which I get, 1531 parsecs. I think this modulus, distance modulus, I have to modify.
Yeah, so now you need to just correct it for that AG value. AG, na? You have to put 5 log D plus 5 plus AG. Plus AG.
Yes. Where do I get the AG values?
So I've actually, so you've taken an EB minus V value, right?
Yes.
So I've sent it to you all on WhatsApp. What is the conversion?
Okay.
So you'll just take a coefficient multiplied by EB minus V.
All right. Okay. So this is for the Gaia data. So that conversion, that's the conversion, right?
Yeah. For the Gaia photometric bands.
Photometric bands. All right. Yeah. And then, okay, these will get modified. Basically, I'm getting a proper motion of around 1.747 milliarc seconds per year.
Actually, this thing is slightly different in the sense you have to multiply it to cosine delta function also for the RA thing, because it's a
I came across that on the net, but I'm not familiar with how do I take the direction? Yeah. What is the?
Yeah. We'll do that later. That's a little longer story. So
yeah.
We will come on to that. We'll do that soon.
Yeah. Then I tried plotting the isochrone. So this was just with ISO 7.
Okay.
Then I've done with the distance modulus corrected, which again is not accurate because I've not taken the AG value.
Yeah.
And reddening. This is reddening corrected.
Yeah.
Then I've tried with ISO 6.7.
Okay.
Again with red.
Sorry, but this is 2244, no? Okay, that's very young. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And here this last plot I've put both.
Okay.
The green one is ISO 6.7 and the blue one is 7, ISO 7.
Okay.
But again, I have not taken into account AG value. So I had a question in this. I've got these 2 points, for example. I'm not able to show it because I think I'd mentioned I do the plotting on another system. So I've just transported this file here. These data points are sitting around here.
Yeah.
This is my sky plot. So what I wanted to know is how do we decide the region of the cluster?
Yeah, so see now when we have done cutoffs, we've done it in proper motion and in parallax, right? We
Yes.
haven't used HR diagram, right? So these ones, for example, if they are for SHWRM members, they could be variables for some reason, right?
Okay.
Actually, your isochrone fit is also not too nice.
No.
You need to take it little bit. It should be you know your red stars are too far from the isochrone. So if you get
Actually,
it closer,
I have to do the AG correction.
and even your y-axis thing is also a little off. If you see that previous plot on the first one, that green and red one, you see that bump. The position of the bump is what you should use. It's a good way to fit it nicely. You know, there's this bump which you're getting. I don't know whether you can see what this the bump over here.
This one?
So these ones are not very nicely overlaid. So then you will see whether how much off the isochrone it is. In principle, they can be off the isochrone, like I said, if they are variables of some kind, etc. So in this kind of a method, you will be able to find variables which, in terms of photometry, they are not sitting properly, but in terms of proper motion and distance, you are quite sure that they are members, right? Earlier, what happened is when people studied star clusters, we didn't have distance information. We didn't have proper motion information, right? So what people would do is that they would draw an isochrone, and whatever sits in that along the isochrone, they would take those as members, right?
Okay.
Now in this case, you're getting a unique way to find members which do not sit on the isochrone, but you know they are members because of their proper motion and parallax, right? So what I would suggest is the first thing is try fitting your isochrone a little better. They are not sitting very nicely. If you just Google and see any isochrone fits of clusters, you'll see how the isochrone should look with the stars, right?
Yes.
And so you adjust that. And like I'm saying, if there are stars which don't sit on the isochrone, that's absolutely fine. They can be variables of some kind, etc. So that's possible.
Okay.
Your job is almost done, Vandana. You can present. You have no problem.
Yeah. No, I was more into trying to figure out, for example, in this, how if I want to do a photometric cut, so how close would I go? Effectively, what is the limit? I mean, I think ideal would be to get the limit of the instrument itself, to reduce to the limit of the instrument. The errors, I mean.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing...
So there's no hard and fast rule as to how this thing you do it. Different authors take it differently, because there's another issue which we've not spoken about, is binaries in the cluster. If there are binaries, in certain clusters, you actually see a sequence of the binaries, which is a parallel line on top. Because what happens is star gets resolved as a single star, but it's brighter. So you will actually see a line of stars parallel to the lower main sequence. There'll be another parallel line, which is the binary sequence. So we do have such things. So you do need to take a certain thickness for sure, because everything is not going to sit on the point. So one thing is, binaries and things like that. Another issue is variables, right? Okay. So it kind of varies. How would you take it? But like in this case, since your selection of members is without using colors, right?
Yes.
What we generally do is, like in this case, now you'll just take the width that you're getting, because you've not used your color information. You only used your distance and, you only used your distance information and your proper motion information.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So actually there are lots of loopholes in this as to how and why and what is better. And that varies. We'll get into that, but it's, as of now for this thing, we'll wind it up with this, and then we'll do more detail when we start the next project, which is AstroSprint.
Yeah.
We'll, take off from here. At present, this was just the preliminary run.
Yeah.
And,
so I'll stop screen share?
Yeah, fine. So you are almost done.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to do for quite a few more, so I get an idea of...
it's okay, just a few nights more, no?
Yeah, that should be possible. Definitely, I would like to present. So,
so yes,
think whatever I'm able to do. I was reading somewhere, I think there are some corrections for biases in parallax.
Yes, yes.
Which
We'll talk about that. Those issues are there. And
okay.
now it's slightly different with EDR3. You may have read papers for DR2, but now EDR3 has its own issues.
Yes,
So
yes.
we will talk about that. We'll
All
come.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So all of you other guys, you all will send me the stuff and questions too. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a small question. Ma'am, can I share it?
Ask.
Ma'am, can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. Everybody has permission. Share.
So, ma'am, my screen is visible.
Yeah.
This is for M103, ma'am.
Okay. 581. That's NGC 581, right?
Yes, ma'am. So, like, my question is, ma'am, like, right now I have done the distance cut, and after the distance cut, I'm getting this kind of data.
Yeah.
So when I'm trying to do the photometric plot, like, can I consider these stars as members?
No. So that's what even Vandana did, right? She threw out all these stars which were fainter than 18 because, these are spread out. So probably the errors are very large. So you can
Okay,
throw
so
the
I
ones
have
that
to
are
select
fainter
only
than 18.
number. Yes.
That's what Vandana also did, right? She just mentioned.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Because you can see that they're clearly not sitting properly, on them.
Yeah, I just need to. I have to look for this line every time, and like this is.
Yeah. So throw those ones. Throw those fainter ones because they're just creating a mess.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Fine.
stop saying.
Yeah. Okay. Chal.
Okay.
So
Okay,
please
ma'am.
let's interact more on this week and
I
tell me so that you all get ready for your presentations, right?
Ma'am, Avik here.
Yeah.
I did a quick search for the NGC 2452 radius.
Yeah.
So Simbad gives is around zero point 0.3 arc minute cross 0.3 arc minute. But
Okay.
as you suggested, I did a ESA sky sort of yeah. So I got around 1.5 arc minute radius.
And
So
what was
I
Simbad?
can share.
No, because
Simbad
Simbad, you
was
just see there only the reference must be there. The reference must be like 30 years old or something. Just check it.
so I can show you. This is the
So that even the
sorry,
Simbad references are very old ones.
I
So,
just shared the screen. I didn't take your permission.
I
So
can see.
this is the ESA Sky 1.5 arc minute. So this is 1.5 arc minute.
And you said
This one,
Simbad was only 0.3.
yeah, Simbad
No.
is only 0.3. This is the angular size, which is 0.3 cross 0.3.
No, take this one only. That's what I'm saying. In Simbad itself, the reference must be mentioned. Check out the reference. And like I'm saying, that reference must be very old.
Your reference is 2008. Someone.
By 2008 is 12 years back. This is pre-Spitzer, pre-Herschel, right? And basically, these are objects. See, these are cold objects. Planetary nebulae and all are cold objects. So they will show more in the infrared. Optical they won't show much.
Yes.
But in infrared, you'll see it.
So this is optical, which is very small in DSS2.
Correct.
This is mid infrared with all of eyes. Spitzer, I hope it has not seen this. Spitzer is not giving anything.
Okay. No, because Spitzer and Herschel and all these are targeted searches, right? So if somebody had a proposal to observe, they would observe. So you just this thing that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's fine. So good. So take this value.
Yeah.
You can try out that one, this one, whatever, and see. Yes. But I think it's better to take this updated value.
Yes, ma'am.
See, WISE, Herschel, Spitzer. WISE is an all sky. Okay.
Yes.
So WISE, you will find everything you can find a WISE image. But Spitzer and Herschel are targeted searches. So if the object was not observed, you won't be able to see it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Good. So try this out and see what you get.
Surely, ma'am. And if everybody, I am still not clear about the extinction part. So if everybody puts in, I would see there and take some point.
Okay. You want others to tell you about extinction or?
Yeah, so I missed out that part. So
Okay, no problem. I'll share
let
some.
me take the next step, and then probably I would ask
Okay.
you in the group,
Okay,
so
fine.
anybody can help me out.
Okay, sure.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
Ma'am, the AG value conversion factor, first you give 2.94. So value, I mean, it's going to 800. Now when I take 2.66, it's going in that direction itself. It's not coming to 1100 side at all.
Okay, I'll just check the value. I'll just
Yes.
give me some time. I'll just check the value.
Okay. Yeah.
And until then, let's cheat. You tell me what value should you have for 1300.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll just check because
thank
there are
you.
many sources. You just check what should be the value if we wanted 1300. You're getting 1600 out the AG correction.
Yes, ma'am. 1699.
What value do you just put that?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. That 1600 you got as average from Parallax, no?
Yes, ma'am. Just from no, ma'am, not from Parallax. Ma'am, I tried to fit it on the isochrone. My distance modulus came 11.15.
You will get from Parallax as well as from isochrone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, fine. So first check the Parallax one, check that one, check both.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Okay, chalo. So see you then. Yeah, and let's be interactive through the week so I know how's people progressing. Okay. Chalo.
Yeah.
Okay, see you. Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.